archpriestess in the Correllian tradition. She is high priestess and temple keeper for the Chosen Path Church, a full temple of the Correllian Nativist Church. She is an attuned Reiki master and instructor, as well as a Correllian shaman. She is a charter member of the Northeast Florida Pagan Leadership Coalition. She is a project manager for a major world bank with 2 grown children who are still the center of her universe. She volunteers in several employee networks at the bank, including LGBT Allies, CFO Diversity and Inclusion Council, and LEAD. She volunteers for Pug Rescue of Florida, fostering dogs, and serves on the board of directors as treasurer. She is the CFO and membership volunteer for Correllian Education Ministries, the seminary of the Correllian Nativist Church, commonly known as witchschool.com. She has been an active participant as a faith leader in Jacksonville Coalition for Equality's efforts to update the Duval County Human Rights Ordinance to include protections for our LGBTQIA citizens. Her hobbies are water gardening, playing World of Warcraft, and spending time with her pugs, her cat, and her pet tortoise. I am honored to welcome her to the BBUUC podium for her first full sermon with us. Reverend Laurie, the podium is yours.
This is kind of out of my realm of comfort, to be quite honest. Did some research about the Unitarian Universalist principles when I was asked to speak. I've been here many times as a guest, but when you're speaking in an organization, you got to kind of get to know them a little better. And I discovered that there is a strong correlation between the Unitarian Universalist core beliefs and the Correllian Nativist Church core beliefs. This core belief is actually what attracted me to the tradition that I belong to. When I grew up in a Roman Catholic home with a mother who was very open. She was a teacher, so everything was a teaching moment. And she would always allow us to go when we were invited to anybody's church service, anybody's church camp, whatever. We were allowed to go. And I spent a lot of time learning what was wrong with other religions, including my own, because they told me. They didn't teach me about their religions. They told me what was wrong with all the other ones. So when I found a religion that celebrates all paths, I said, maybe this is where I can finally find a home. And the Unitarian Church is very much like that. All paths are welcome here. Who knows? I might have been a Unitarian if I had found y'all first. Who knows? We all interpret deity through our own paradigm. And one of the teachings of the church, Correllian Church, is that divinity is sort of like a diamond. It's more than we can actually get our head around as a human. So we each interpret divinity in our own way. We develop a relationship with the divine that we understand, that we can get our head around. All of you looking at this diamond, isn't it gorgeous? Are looking at it from a different angle. It's the same diamond, but you're all seeing something different because of the way light is reflected in it. And our relationship with the divine is sort of like that. We all see the divine, the same divine, but yet we're interpreting it through the reflections of the light of that divine into our own personal lives. I'm just going to leave that right there for right now. So how does this relate to diversity and inclusion and unconscious bias? We all have biases. Some of them are conscious. I know I don't like lima beans. I have a bias against lima beans. Some of them are unconscious. They only come to the surface when we really think about it. We only connect with that unconscious bias when we think about it. It's a bias that we're really unaware of. And it happens outside of our control. You don't have a bias switch that you switch on and off. It comes into play when we're making quick judgments, when we're under stress, when we're confronted by something new and different. And it can be both positive and negative. You know, I'm missing out on a lot of good recipes because I don't like lima beans. I'd like to have two of my, thing one and thing two is how they chose to be addressed, come up and help me with a point or two. Okay, does this thing work now? Can you hear me? Okay. Megan, when she introduced me, introduced my many faces. And all of them make up the whole me, my whole self. So I want you to think about those many faces, which you're about to see, and what's the first thing that pops into your mind? That's your unconscious bias. When you stop and think a minute, does something else pop into your mind? That's your conscious bias. Okay, so here I am in my clergy robes. Now you might think, okay, she's just another pagan who likes to play dress up. Nope. This robe took me 6 years to earn. Who will help me out? Every piece of it has a religious meaning. Every piece of it had to be earned through education and service. Every layer is added on in the journey of our clergy to symbolize that journey and the burdens of being a clergy. A lot of layers. Yeah, the others won't take as long. Pam's a sure. Thing one is a maturiness. I always thought it was karmatic justice that Lord Don now lives in Florida and has to wear these instead of Illinois where he designed them. But when you see a clergy, are you assuming that that is their only role in life? Unfortunately, during the battle for the HRO, I was unable to attend many, many events because why? Because I'm also a bank vice president. Now, when I say bank vice president to someone, they are either going to assume that I'm an evil banker. All I care about is profit. And I'm here to rip you off. I've been with the bank over 40 years. I started on my 20th birthday as a teller. Because of my longevity with the bank, many people ask me, what is my greatest accomplishment? Looking back at this almost over career. A couple more years. My greatest accomplishment was when, under the Barnett system, I don't know how many of you used to be Barnett customers, we went from 33 backroom functions to 4. We regionalized. By this time, I was already a vice president. I was vice president in 1989. And I had 40 people that worked for me. I had everything from the wire desk to mail deposits to the courier to the telephone operator to accounts payable. It didn't fit anywhere else, give it to Laurie. Did cash management for our corporate clients. My greatest accomplishment was when we went to that 33 system down to 4, that all 40 of those people landed on their feet. I had one move out of state, I had one retire, but I networked, I educated, I advocated, I dedicated myself to finding positions for those 38 other people. This is a small town bank, only covered one county. It was not an easy feat, but they all landed on their feet. That is my greatest accomplishment as a banker. Now, banking is just what I do from 9 to 5. Well, that's a fallacy, because bankers don't work bankers' hours. The week my daughter was born, I worked 90 hours. My husband says that's why she was 6 weeks early. So when you work those kind of hours, you gotta have something to relax by, don't you? Well, I'm a gamer. I play WoW. I started playing WoW when my oldest went off to college because it was something that we could do online together. We had a family computer room. I had seen how they matured and got life skills. Oh, I don't think I can get that off. Thank you very much. Much more comfortable. In my guild, which I am now the guild leader of, have been for 11 years, there are families. We have multi-generational members in a guild. A gamer is not some millennial in their parents' basement that doesn't have a real job and doesn't have any friends. A gamer is somebody that enjoys social interaction, enjoys figuring things out, puzzles. I am 60 years old. I am not the oldest member of my guild. That would be a guy named Pigweed, who's 73 years old. I think we've got at least a dozen members that are over the age of 50. We also have teenagers. I think our youngest member is 11. His mom is rotten too. So when you see a gamer, don't just think, loser. Think somebody that likes to figure things out, meet new people, have new experiences, and just feels better when they kill things. Now, my next phase is another one. We practiced, we did. It's just long. My next phase is the pug rescuer. Now, when you get to know an animal rescuer, you think, oh, another crazy cat lady. Whatever species they're rescuing. I got into pug rescue when my kids left home and took the family dog with them because it was really my son's dog. I wanted to adopt another one, so I contacted Pug Rescue of Florida, If you're ever looking for a pug, pugrescueofflorida.org. We rescue about 400 a year. Because my sister told me to think about fostering. She fosters kittens. She says you can help so many more dogs than just one that you adopt. So I did. I've had 23 dogs so far. 6 have died. 2 I have now. And the rest got a chance at a wonderful forever home. The first day I volunteered for Pug Rescue, I had a lady come up to me at the adoption event. I haven't even had my first foster yet. And she says, why do you think pugs deserve a home more than any other breed? Intimating that, because I did Pug Rescue, that must be my thought. I told her, no ma'am. Every domesticated animal deserves a loving home. I just got into pugs because that's what I wanted to adopt. Rescuing is the most fulfilling thing I've done in my life beyond having children. Even more than my clergy. So if you ever want to think about rescuing, come talk to me. Now the last one was not on Megan's bio. This is what I like to call my inner Molly Weasley. Oops, wait a minute, I'm stepping on something. Oh, never mind. Yep, thought it was. A few years ago, my daughter says, Mom, you're starting to dress like Molly Weasley. And I'm surprisingly okay with that. The Correllian Church has just announced a new teaching that will be incorporated into our doctrine. Those of you that have been around any pagans know Maiden Mother Crumb. Maiden Mother Crumb. Well, you don't go from mother to crumb. I'm only 60. I'm not ready for crumb yet. But I no longer base my identity on being my children's mother, even though they are still the center of my universe. I am me. I am inner Molly Weasley. And when I say Molly Weasley to you, what do you envision? What?
Warrior.
That's the Molly Weasley I identify with. We spent, 7 books with Molly Weasley being the helicopter mom, screaming telegrams to her son, hideous sweaters, not quite got a grasp on what's going on. Knows it's bad, but, her family is the center of her universe. We ended that series with Molly taking down Bellatrix Lestrange and taking her down in style. That's the Molly Weasley I identify with. I love the clothes. It gives me freedom to express those things that I can't express as a bank vice president, as clergy, because we got an image we got to uphold, right? Well, when I'm clergying, I'm upholding. When I'm banking, I'm upholding. When I'm on my time, I'm either in a graphic t-shirt or I'm like this. Because it's me. It's my whole self. All of those things make up Laurie Denman. All of those things have given me growth and learning. because I approached each one of them with passion and an open mind. Okay? Now I want to take you back to the diamond. This is the divine. Just stay with me on that. This is the divine. You're out there, you're looking at it from this angle and that angle. If you came up here and just walked around it, you would get a different reflection of every point of advantage. And that's the way the divine is. If we approach the divine with a conscious or unconscious bias, what happens? We see what we want to see. We see what we're comfortable with. Pardon? Exactly. That's why all the mythos of all the various gods, they've all got a good side and a bad side. They're like, you're a god, you should know better than to do that. Because we're reflecting our own human characteristics on the divine. If we approach divine with bias, either conscious or subconscious, we are potentially blocking ourselves from a truth, a possible truth. If we look at other religions with a bias, we're going to miss that thing that has drawn millions of people to it. So when we approach the divine, we need to put down all those shields. We need to leave the bias on the floor. When we have unconscious bias, we treat people differently. When you're at the mall or out and about and you see somebody in a hijab or even a burqa, what's your reaction? And is that reaction different than a nun wearing a nun habit? Or a lay person wearing a Star of David or a cross or a pentacle? Think about those biases and how that is shutting you off from a potential good thing. Here is a devout woman expressing her religion for the world to see. That's a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing. When we have bias on how we practice our religion, it has a rigidity. No, I won't go over there. That's out of the box. I'm not going to think out of the box. I'm not going to accept something out of the box. I need structure and form. I get that. I was raised Catholic. There is no religion that has more structure and form than the Catholic religion. I looked, when I left the Catholic Church, for a religion that gave me that ritual and that structure. But I always had a yes, but. There was always something in that religion I was exploring that held me back. So when I found a religion that recognized that all religions are just the divine speaking to that individual person, and it's a good thing. I always tell people, when you find a religion that connects you to the divine with a loving and healthy relationship, stick to it. Explore it. Be one with it. Make it your chosen path. That's why my name of my church is Chosen Path Church. Not because I think Correllianism needs to be the chosen path. I have non-Correllians on my board. I believe it so firmly that all paths are welcome. But because when you find that relationship with the divine that is open and unbiased, that's something you need to stick with. And you need to walk in peace on that path. When you realize you have an unconscious bias, what in the heck are you supposed to do about it? Well, the first thing is to recognize that you have it. And then the next one is to analyze it, whether it's positive or negative. Yeah, I'm going to miss out some great recipes because I don't like lima beans. But the world is not going to be a worse place because I don't like lima beans. But if I have an unconscious bias towards a person, and I express it through my actions and deeds, then yeah, bad things can happen. That person may get wounded. That person may be affected. So realize you have the unconscious bias. Analyze what happens if it's positive or negative, and then do something about it. When you see it creeping into your decision making, whoa, put on the brakes. Say, oh, that's an unconscious bias I discovered. It's now a conscious bias. I need to put that down. It's no longer serving my greater good. Be an active bystander. That's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? Active bystander. I'm not telling you to get in the face of everybody that you see just demonstrates that same bias that you just uncovered about yourself. But be aware of it. If you can de-escalate the situation, okay. But if you can't, be aware and say, I don't want to be that person. And I'm not going to allow myself to be that person. Make small changes in what you do. You see that lady in a burqa or in a habib? Smile, nod. Acknowledge her grace. Acknowledge her freedom of choice. Because you are in a country where it's not required to wear that. That person has made a decision to wear it. Be pragmatic about it. Knowing that you have this unconscious bias is not going to make it go away. Pay attention to it. Control it. Make it positive. Okay. In closing, I would like to have each of you now go back through my wardrobe changes and think about those first and second thoughts you had about me. Maybe they're right. Maybe I can dissuade them. I would like you to come up to me after the service and talk to me about them. I don't want to take time out of the service to go through all that, but I'll be here for about a half an hour after the service. I've got another meeting at 12:30 that I've got to be at. But come and talk to me. This will not only help you verbalize what you're feeling, but it will help me. Because I hope to take this sermon to the Parliament of World Religions at the next opportunity. Last Parliament of World Religions, we did a seminar on the International Peace Prayer Warriors, which is an interdenominational Facebook group that prays for peace around the world. So I need your feedback, and I'm here to help you work your way through any unconscious biases you may have. Thank you very much.